Tom Barkley here outside Tottenham Stadium after I've just watched Spurs lose 3-2 to Bayern Munich in their last pre-season friendly ahead of the Premier League season, which starts against Leicester a week on Monday. A defeat, but an exciting day nonetheless for Spurs fans because they've just got a new striker, Dominic Solanke, which was confirmed today. He was presented on the pitch alongside Lucas Bergwall and Archie Gray before kick-off. Solanke not involved because he has only just signed and he hasn't literally even had a training session. I know some fans were hoping that he might actually play a game, but play a part in the match. But because he hasn't even trained yet, the thinking was that it was too soon. But still, I think a really exciting signing for Spurs fans' point of view. Solanke is someone that I have covered quite a lot over the years because I used to cover Bournemouth under the Eddie Howe years, and it was a difficult move for him at the time when he went to Bournemouth for 90 million, having only scored one goal for Liverpool in the Premier League, which was kind of something that sort of was around his neck for quite a long time as Bournemouth got relegated. But he's just come on leaps and bounds since then. I know Eddie Howe particularly has huge faith in him, and I'm sure will be feeling quite sort of not justified but proud of Solanke from getting this particular move to Spurs. And from Tottenham's point of view, he's exactly what they need. You might think 65 million, 55 million up front with another 10 million add-ons is quite a lot, but in this market these days for what they're after, I think it's a pretty good signing for a player who just seems to be getting better and better, and scored obviously 19 goals in the Premier League last year, but more crucially his fit into Postecoglou's way of playing with that high press style could really be a match made in heaven. That's definitely what Postecoglou thought. We spoke to him after the game about him, and he was talking about how he felt that he was a really, really good fit. He was someone that they were hoping to get over the line. It took a while longer than they hoped, but just really happy to get him now. And they feel like they're getting a player who's had some difficulties earlier in his career, but has really come into his own in the last few years, particularly in the last season in the Premier League. He's only going to get better and better. And to be honest, he's got obviously that one cap for England back in 2017, but I would not be surprised as someone who covers England regularly if he were involved quite soon, if he has a good start at Spurs. And just the way Tottenham play, we've all seen so many of those cutbacks from out wide. I just feel like Solanke's style means that he'll probably bag quite a few. If you're a fantasy football player, I think Solanke's going to be an obvious choice this season with the way Tottenham play and the chances they create. So great exciting news on that front. Obviously it was England strikers past and present today with Harry Kane's return to N17. He was presented along with Eric Dyer, obviously another stalwart of Tottenham's history and a great servant, with a trophy in the shape of a cockerel, a small cockerel compared to the one that's on top of the ground, before kick-off by Ledley King. And in the match, Eric came on at half-time. Harry Kane came on for the last 10 minutes, but he got a great reception when he came on. Had one shot, turned and had a shot, and he didn't have that much time to make an impact, but it was great to see him back. He's obviously an absolute legend here, record scorer. Didn't get much of a send-off, I suppose, when he left for Bayern last season, so it was good to see that. But I guess from Tottenham's point of view, it's all about the future now, and all about Solanke, who you'd expect to come in and play a big part. I asked after the game about how ready Ange thought he might be for that Leicester game. He thinks straight away, pretty much, that he could be starting against Leicester, which is exciting. And you would think from that point of view, the kind of not experiment, because Son has played up front a lot and did very well last season, but you think Solanke, with that money, will be pretty much coming in pretty quickly to become the main man up front. As for the rest of the game, set pieces were an issue again, which is something that reared its head a lot last season. 2 goals conceded from set pieces. The first one was from the equaliser after Kulusevski got 2 goals. The first goal Bayern scored was Matthias Tell having a header down from the free kick, which Upamecano turned in from close range, and then later on Thomas Müller scored a header from the free kick as well. Set pieces obviously something that was a huge topic last season. It got Ange quite grouchy at times when it kept happening, and people felt like, or he seemed to feel like he was being judged and people calling him out over it, and we've seen a spiky Ange many times in press conferences, and that was definitely a topic that was a sore point. It's obviously pre-season now. When he was he was asked about the manner of the goals they conceded, he kind of explained it away to a certain extent about how it's pre-season. They had a much different back line when you consider, Dragusin, Spencer's playing left back, Ben Davis, these guys, maybe Dragusin, I guess, potentially, but it's likely to be Romero and Van der Ven and Udogie when he's fit in that back line. So obviously he didn't explain away the fact that they were poor goals to concede, but he didn't seem to be overly bothered by it or worried about it. So I guess when the real stuff starts, and if they're still doing it then there'll be harder questions to ask on that front. It is only pre-season. As regard Jed Spence, it's obviously been quite a redemption, or Jedemption as it's been suggested to me. I'm not sure that will catch on during this pre-season after what's been a difficult time for him at Tottenham so far. He's done very well in pre-season. I'm not sure he's the answer when it comes to playing left back. I thought it was interesting that he was picked over Jamie Donnelly, who's done very well in pre-season, but there's one thing in a forward or an attacking midfielder fitting in at left back and doing well against the likes of QPR, with all respect to them, then going against Serge Gnabry for Bayern Munich. So that's probably why he wasn't played, but also Spence, to be honest, when you're playing on your wrong side, as he was against a top player like Gnabry, it was probably unsurprising that he struggled on that front. So it'll be interesting to see what they do going into the Leicester game at left back, because Udogie came off the bench in the second half. He's obviously first choice and a brilliant player and someone who is the future for Tottenham, but he only got his first minutes of pre-season in this game in the second half. So what do you do going into a sort of high intensity game like that? Ange is very much in the past throwing players in from the off, probably will do it with Solanke, but he's had a lot of pre-season. Van der Ven obviously was the example last season when he came in after 3 days after signing, went straight into the Brentford game. But fitness-wise, is Udogie ready? That would be a question mark going into this game. Kulusevski, a couple of goals. Really, I thought his first goal was kind of it came out of nothing, 26 seconds into the match. But the second goal, whilst he took it very well, what was really exciting about that, from a Spurs sort of exciting future point of view, was the ball that Bergvall laid on and the way he won it in the build-up to it. This is an 18-year-old who really does look like he's got a massively bright future. We all know that Spurs beat Barcelona to his signing, and there are so many good youngsters to get excited about at Tottenham at the moment, and he is one of them. And that pass in particular was something that will definitely be getting Spurs fans excited. Going forward, transfers, obviously Solanke will probably be the major big money signing this summer, but I did ask him, Ange, after the game, whether that could potentially, what could that impact? In fact, could there be any more signings? I do expect there to be more, but I thought I'd put it on him anyway to see if there was a chance that could be it, because it's likely to have a big slice of the budget taken away from that sale. And I got my first sort of typical sort of Ange reaction to a question like that, which is totally fair enough, where he said, you know our budget, do you? But it was all done in good humour, and he actually said, no, I do expect more activity, which is about as much as he was going to give away. But it does suggest that we're going to see a few more, or at least another face at some point, come through the doors. Albeit left back, feels like that might not be the situation. I know a lot of fans probably hoping for another backup left back to Udogie, for obviously the reasons I just mentioned. But with Spence, with Ben Davis, even though personally I'm not sure he fits in this inverted left back role for Ange. I'm not saying he's not got a place in this squad. He's obviously a great servant, probably better at the centre back. But I personally would like to see them bring in someone, because it's such a key position in this Ange team. There's so many games going forward, but from what I'm hearing, it sounds less likely that's going to happen. There's still a while left in the window, so we'll wait to see what happens on that front. And that pretty much wraps it up. So I'm looking to do potentially more of these videos going forward after games, reflecting quickly on matches and the press conferences, and giving those sort of instant reactions to what we've just seen, what we've just heard from Ange Postecoglou. Speak to you next time.